Welcome, Sunny Souls, to today's Reddit stories.
Sorry, you removed my access to all those files. You do have access to it all yourself, though. A Onedrive quandary. Posted by FlipBib. TLDR, deputy head of a school was mostly computer illiterate. After cutting my access to files early, they then started asking for help accessing them themselves without much luck. A few years ago, I took up a management role in an international school. It included spending 2 years exploring what stakeholders wanted from timetabling, which interests and skill sets staff had and could share, establishing relationships with companies and organizations in the local community, and developing solutions to include all of this, which could be refreshed on a 6 or 7 weekly basis without being too onerous. The staff were quite computer shy and busy and would need to input student preferences in a really easy and convenient way. I developed an automated system to do so and updated it after each round of input, so by the end of the 2 years it was integrated and smooth. Then, my wife and I decided to leave the country for other adventures. On a side note, I spent 4 years building the department into a 21st century one with plenty of electronic resources to build efficiency and powerfully improve the service the students received. Every time I made a large resource, I sent a simple link to the HUD, HOF, and my line manager deputy head, letting them know about it to make the workload lighter, and requested any feedback for improvements. They never did. When going through the offboarding process, I explicitly requested having access to my online resources for an additional month still prior to my last paycheck. They agreed and put it in writing. Off we went, packed up or sold all our things, and moved across the world. I finally got a chance to transfer important documents/emails, and they had already deactivated my access. After several emails and calls, I was eventually given a short, stressful window to do the task I had planned a fortnight for, and lost some precious time with family whilst briefly in my home country. Roll forward a couple of months and I receive an email from the deputy head. They are having trouble finding all the tools and resources I produced. I simply let them know I didn't have access to any of it anymore. The school had locked me out of the accounts. But not to worry, she had access to it all. Unfortunately, the deputy had risen through the ranks through social pressure and manipulation. She was well out of her depth and was used to delegating most of her job description. Simply using OneDrive was well beyond her ability. It sucks that a lot of the resources will go unused, but I learned a lot and got plenty of feathers in my cap, etc. They'll likely just have to do it manually and build up again. Here is my AI opinion. It sounds like you had a very productive and successful tenure at the school, and that you made significant contributions to the department and the students. It's unfortunate that the deputy head was not able to understand or use the resources you had created, but it's not surprising given her lack of computer literacy and her reliance on social pressure and manipulation to advance in her career. It's also unfortunate that the school chose to lock you out of your accounts without providing any notice or explanation, especially since you had explicitly requested access for an additional month during the offboarding process. This seems like a violation of trust and a lack of respect for your contributions to the school. Overall, it sounds like you have a lot to be proud of in terms of your accomplishments at the school, and that you have learned valuable lessons about the importance of documenting your work and being proactive in preserving access to your resources. It's also a reminder to be cautious when working with organizations that may not have the same level of professionalism or respect for their employees as you would like. What was the main reason for the OP leaving the job? How did the OP feel about the way they were treated by the school during the offboarding process? Monster likes to add,
I hate these people, promises that are broken, that they come running to you for help. Listen, lady, I don't work for you anymore. Put that little brain of yours to use and figure it out yourself.
A comment from HMS Slutterbutt.
Since you were dealing with stakeholders, were you also making sure they knew about all of the wonderful easy system you'd set up? Love it when someone important asks about important and easy to run report that can't be run or updated since illiterate leadership doesn't understand the straightforward directions.
If you want to listen to the latest Reddit stories, subscribing is the way to go. Just click that button and you'll never miss a video.
You saw a driveway for a shortcut. No more shortcuts. Posted by 7 Skyline. We have a large easement next to our house. It's actually a lovely spot with a view over a creek and up a small valley to wooded hills. Heaps of birds and wildlife, no sea of housing like behind us. It also leads to the cul-de-sac of an alive end road, which was fenced off until someone decided one afternoon to barrel their forks for right through it. Even before this, in-car or phone navigation has taken people up the unalive end street and tried to send them over the non-existent road between us and the cul-de-sac, as it is significantly shorter than the normal way around. Since the fence has been round down, people have been using it as a shortcut, and probably because GPS tells them to go that way, the more they go that way, the more GPS picks up on the route. People were dropping off or mounting the gutter to get on and off the grass to the road, which is okay. There was such a variety of vehicles from pizza delivery to large trucks, tradesmen and lost visitors that we couldn't just say, hey, please don't, it's not a road. It had gotten to the point that there was a dusty track. Then they started cutting across our front lawn to use our personal driveway, and we had enough. So we called council, by chance getting hold of someone we know, and 3 days later there were 2 giant rocks blocking the way. Still allowing the walkers, kids and bike riders passage, but no more cars and trucks. Here is my AI opinion. I think it's great that you took action to prevent further damage to your lawn and to discourage people from using your property as a shortcut. The rocks are a good solution as they allow pedestrians and cyclists to pass through while blocking vehicular traffic. It's important to set boundaries and protect your property, especially when it comes to easements and public access. However, I would suggest that you might want to consider adding some signage to the area to clearly indicate that the path is not a designated road and that vehicles are not allowed. This could help to deter people from attempting to use the path as a shortcut, and it could also help to prevent any potential conflicts or misunderstandings with neighbours or passers-by. Additionally, you might want to consider speaking with your neighbours and other residents in the area to see if they share your concerns about the easement and the use of your property as a shortcut. It's possible that they may be experiencing similar issues, and working together could help to address the problem more effectively. Overall, it sounds like you have taken a proactive approach to protecting your property and setting boundaries, and I think that's great. What is the main issue in this story? Who is affected by the issue in the story? Chief Slug30 commented,
Nicely done. Not only did you stop them, you got someone else to do the actual work legally too. As a bonus, if submarine manages to move one of the rocks, the municipality will put it back, as it's their rocks.
Freedom Miss Griffer commented,
Contact GPS and them know to remove the street as a throughway. I've know others who have done that, and they have removed routes that are private, etc.
OP replied to that, I marked it as a non-route on Google Maps, and it changed it to a walking track.
See all my candy? No more for you. Posted by Wingsilverpay here. Now that spooky season is in full swing, I recently got reminded by a story from my childhood about Halloween, and how younger me managed to take some small revenge on my mum. Also, English is my first language, so feel free to roast me in the comments for any mistakes I will inevitably make. Also, this story is kind of old, so some details might be missing or incorrect. Background. It was Halloween some years ago. I'm not sure which year, but I remember that the day after was a weekend, which is important for 2 reasons. 1, I could stay up for up to 1 hour after trick-or-treating was over, and 2, I didn't have school the next day. This will be important later. The story. Day 0. After I had finished my trick-or-treating that night, I stayed up for a bit longer than usual to sort my candy, something my ADHD brain loved doing. I also loved all my candy, so I could tell when one of my siblings or parents inevitably stole from my haul. I noted that I had 12 of a specific candy, I think they were Butterfingers, and went to bed. Day 1. After waking up the next day, I noticed that the quantity of said candy was harshly reduced. I believe it went down to 4 pieces out of the original 12 that were there. Through process of elimination, I figured out who the culprit was. My dad was allergic to peanuts. Butterfingers, in case he didn't know, contained peanut butter. My older sister had trick-or-treated and then slept over at a friend's house and wasn't back yet. My older brother was in college, and my younger brother was 4 months old at the time and was unable to consume solid foods. That meant that the only suspect remaining was my mother. I was angry at her, but I knew better than to take it out on her, because that would only get even more of my candy revoked. So I devised a plan. The plan. I don't know about other places, but where I used to live, our dentist's office did a candy buyback where you would trade in the candy that you didn't like and get money for it. If I remember correctly, the exchange rate is like $1/B of candy. My mother would always force my siblings and I to do this program, and we couldn't exactly say no. So my plan involved me bringing the candy that I knew my mum liked to the exchange. In addition, I managed to get my sister in on it, as we were both tired of her stealing our candy. Day 4. Around 4 days after Halloween ended, my mother dearest took us to the dentist for our yearly contribution to the candy buyback. Underneath the candy that everyone in the family unanimously hated was the candy my mother absolutely loved, Butterfingers and Reese's Cups, Snickers and Twizzlers. All of it was gone. Gone from both mine and my sister's stashes. It helped that neither of us loved the same candy that my mother did aside from me with Butterfingers, but that was a sacrifice I was willing to make. The fallout. Now, me being a wee kid at the time, I didn't exactly see a juicy fallout, but I do have a clear memory from that year hearing my mum say to her friends that it was a shame that the kids didn't have any good candy from Halloween this year, and that she was looking forward to it as /sister's name /even went to a larger neighbourhood, so she was expecting more candy that she liked. TLDR, mum steals my candy, and make sure it doesn't happen again. Here's my AI opinion. It sounds like you had a clever plan to get back at your mum for taking your Halloween candy. It's understandable that you would want to protect your haul and be upset when someone takes it without your permission. However, it might have been more effective to simply talk to your mom about how you felt and ask her not to take your candy in the future. Instead of resorting to a revenge plan, you could have tried to communicate your feelings and set boundaries with your mom. It's also possible that your mom didn't realize how much you valued your Halloween candy, and talking to her might have helped her understand your perspective better. Overall, it's important to remember that revenge isn't always the most effective or healthy way to handle conflicts, and communication is often a better approach. What do you think about the revenge tactics used by the author? Were they fair or too harsh? Have you ever had a similar experience with a family member taking your candy? How did you handle it? Paired Jerome commented,
Sweet pettiness indeed.
Mundane District Minus 565 likes to add,
My kids are dairy intolerant, so they willingly give me all of the chocolate, and then I buy them gummy candy. They don't get much of them.
Thanks for tuning in today. Subscribe for more intriguing Reddit stories.